Hey everyone, this is Daryl. Today we're going to be working on our hips, building a little bit of strength at the beginning of the class, and then afterwards working on finding a little bit of space, especially in the outer hips. So for today, you're just going to need one block. If you don't have a block, you can always grab more of a thicker book, which could also work as well. Anyway, let's get started. We're going to have the heels resting on the floor, lie down on the back, and have the hands flat on the mat. And using the mat as a little bit of feedback here, push the lower back into the floor. And as we lift the hips, squeeze the bum at the top, and holding it there just for a second, and then lowering the hips back down. And again, engaging the core here, let the lower back spread across the floor. And again, lift the hips, give a little bit of a squeeze at the top, make sure those muscles are doing the work. And again, lowering the hips, nice and slow, controlled back to the floor. And lower back spreads across the mat. Lift the hips, and again, squeeze the bum. And lower the hips back down. And we're going to do two more. And again, let that lower back spread across the floor. Again, with ease and control, lift the hips, squeeze the bum. And again, send those hips back down. And last one here, using that mat as a feedback, lower back spreads across. And again, lift the hips. Now, holding it at the top here, as we're at the top, press the heels down. And think about pulling the heels back towards you, as if you're trying to curl the mat up in its center. And we're looking to build that strength just in the back of the legs, into the hamstrings, and working up into the lower back, into the bum. And lower the hips back down, and press yourself up to sit. We're going to come into a 90-90, so it's the right leg forward, left leg off to the side. So we've got a 90-degree angle at the legs and a 90-degree angle at the pelvis as well. And we're going to stay off a little bit to the side here, lift the arms up, we're going to make little fists, and start to move the legs from left to right, from east to west. And lifting the legs, and then sending them back down. So that left knee, right knee, land back, and then right knee, left leg, lift, and moving it back the other way. And we're just going to start to rotate from side to side, and just finding that warmth in our hips and finding a little bit of strength. And if you notice that you start to move closer to the top of the mat, like a typewriter, just press yourself back, and then start again. And the next time that we're back into your right leg, either with hands or without, we're going to lift the hips, squeeze the bum at the top, lower the hips back down, and then change our sides. Again, press down through your shin, squeeze the bum, lower the hips to the floor. And then continuing, we're going to do it about 3 times on each side. And each time that we lift up, make sure that the bum is working, and then with that slow, controlled descend, getting those eccentrics in as well. Again, lifting up the hips, squeeze the bum, lower the hips back down. The last one here. Nice. As we slowly lower the hips back to the floor, again, we're going to come back to that 90-90 on your right leg. And grab your block, and place it underneath the right knee. Right. We're trying to keep that block or the knee pushed into the block, so that if I actually came around and started to kick your block, the block wouldn't move. Although that would be creepy if I was in your house and all of a sudden started to kick. You're going to start to push the knee into the block, and as that knee is pressing down, you can feel that on the outside of your hip. So we're looking for that little engagement, that little tight sensation in the outer hip. And as that right leg's working here, start to lift the left knee up. And again, you're going to start to feel that in the outer left hip. And as that left knee is trying to press off behind you, continue to push the right knee into the block. So it's both of those outer hips working now. You're going to lower the left knee back down. Again, that same thing, we're going to start with that right leg, continue to push the knee into the block, and then start to lift the left knee off the floor. And as always, it doesn't matter how far that knee is lifting off the mat. We work within our own space, making sure that front right leg stays down. And again, if I came around and kicked your block, that block wouldn't be able to move from underneath the leg. And again, take that left knee back down. And again, just for a second, relax. And same thing, third time. Push the right knee into the block. And again, start to lift the left knee up. And squeeze the bum here, both sides. And holding it there. And now you're going to start to lift the right knee off of that block, shift the legs into the center, and then back over to the left. So now it's that left leg forward, right leg off to the side. And take your block. We're going to place it underneath the left knee. And as we change sides here, it's the exact same thing. We're going to push the left knee into the block and feel that engagement in the outer left hip. And again, as we have that knee pushing down, that right knee is going to lift. And as you keep that right knee lifted, that left knee presses down into the floor. And then lower the right knee down. And just for a second, take a little pause. Again, take that left knee, push it into the block. Keep that block bolted to the floor, and start to lift the right knee up. And you can get that sensation in through the outer right hip. And again, slowly take that right knee back down, relax both legs. And for the last time, and one more time, pressing the left knee into the block. And then start to lift the right knee up. You're going to press the block through the floor. And just another second here. And then nice and slow, opening up the hips to the front, pausing there. And again, taking it back the other way. Nice. And still set up in that 90-90. So if you've lost it at any point, again, it's that right angle on both legs, and that 90-degree angle at your pelvis as well. All right, we're going to grab our block again. This time, place it right to the inside of the right thigh. And as you lean forward over the leg, keep the shoulders back. You can press the hands into the floor. Keep the right foot flexed. And you can use the hands and really drive them into the mat at this point. Start to lift the right leg off the floor. So that's the ankle, shin, knee, and even the outside of that right thigh as that right hip stays down. And lower the right leg down. Imagine that you're trying to squish the block with the belly and the inner thigh. Again, find that inhale. Lift the right leg. Again, squeeze that block as tight as you can. And again, lower that right leg down. Good. Again, one more time. Press the block in with the belly. Find that inhale. Again, lift the right leg. Let it hover. And imagine that you're trying to squish the block. And lower the right leg down. Right. Take the block. Again, we're going to shift the legs off from the other side. Block comes right onto the inside of the thigh. Take the hands out. Again, that belly is going to press into the block. Again, sandwich that block in between the inner thigh and the stomach. And you can use those hands as a little bit of support as you push down into the mat. And take that inhale here. Keep the shoulders back. And just lift the leg. Again, ankle, shin, knee, all float above the floor as those hips stay down. Again, lower that left leg down. Readjust the block if you need. And as you sandwich that block in, find that inhale again. Lift the leg. And relax the left leg. And last one. And taking that inhale. Lift the left leg and hug that block between the thigh and the belly. And relax the left leg. Nice. And shifting the weights over into that right leg in the 90-90. Turn yourself to face your right shin. Again, those hands are going to come just off to the side. Left knee's trying to push off to the left. Run the shoulders down the spine. Keep the sternum lifted. And think as though you're trying to lead yourself forward to the top of your mat with the sternum. So to pull yourself in front. And as your body starts to pull in front, that outer right hip and that sitting bone start to lift up and then press in the opposite direction. As you pull yourself forward, we should be feeling this right through the outside of the right hip. And holding it there. We're going to hold it for about a minute or so. And then just settling into the pose, using your breath here. And you can even count those breaths as well. Just think about a 5-second on the inhale, a 5-second on the exhale. And remember that we're not here for a wrestling match, so we're not trying to pull ourselves forward as much as we can and wrestle to get a little bit more length. And think of this just more like a tango. Just as you start to settle in, the body starts to move with you, but we're not trying to force anything at all. Just going with the flow and the rhythm. And then coming back up, and we're going to go to the other side, and then shifting the legs. Keeping that 90-90 in both the legs and in the pelvis. And turn yourself towards your left shin. Keep the foot flexed. And again, as that right knee is going to move out a little bit away from your hip. Lead with the sternum, keep it lifted, roll the shoulders back. So it should feel like there is a little bit of a back bend happening in the lower back. And as you hold that little sensation of a back bend, work to pull yourself forward. Again, we should be feeling that right through the outside of the left hip. And it should feel like bone is trying to pull away from bone here, so that we're finding that joint capsule. As you work to pull forward, lift your sitting bone, press it towards the back of the mat. You can just use that breath here. Just think about 5 seconds on the inhale and 5 seconds on the exhale. And then coming back out of it. Thank you so much for joining. Please leave a comment in the sections below. Let me know how it felt on the body and on the hips. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much.